Dr. Cordova, NSF's budget request calls for $70 million for the Cyber Core Scholarship for Service program, which that's certainly something this committee has spent a lot of time on cyber, so we appreciate that. And it's to recruit and train the next generation of information security professionals. How many new cybersecurity professionals will this investment be able to train? And how does NSF work with industry to understand their cyber workforce needs and to make sure we can get people to come into this field knowing, you know, what the career path will be? Maybe, you know, we've heard about delays in getting security clearances on things. How do you work through all that, and how will this money, what do you expect we'll see?
Thank you, Chairwoman Comstock. I don't know all the details, and so we'll get back to you on some of them. But I do know that with the $20 million augmentation, we're going to especially focus on what I like to think of as a reserve corps, that the people that go through the Cyber Core program, and we're working closely with universities on providing a really quality curriculum so that they are well trained. And a lot of very prominent research universities, universities in general, have stepped up to this challenge and are doing so. We want to make sure that the alumni of the program and the people who do scholarship for service after they've graduated then can be used as a resource in following years to come back and engage as they're needed on security matters. And that means a different level of continuous training. It's the same as if you were a doctor and you were continuously training, or a legal professional. And so that's really the emphasis of the new $20 million. As far as the number of students currently being trained, I know we are matched so much by the private sector and by universities themselves who are very interested in providing this curriculum that it is, I just don't have a number that I can share with you. It's a big partnership, and it's really, really growing. There's like a tidal wave of people coming into computer science in general.
Also, I'd like to ask you about STEM education, which we've obviously been funding. And actually, earlier this afternoon, we were working on some of those issues with this committee and with my colleague, Congresswoman Esty, and others in the committee. So, you know, every year we are trying to place a larger emphasis on the subject, and, you know, we still hear the frustrating statistics that we're falling behind worldwide. What have we learned from previous investments in STEM about what is really working and advancing? You know, is it getting kids at a younger age? You know, how do we, you know, keep the continuum going? What are the things that we are finding are, you know, most helpful?
That's a very big question. Yeah. Would you mind if I just started with the Chairman Smith's question with responding to that, because that leads us right into your question with the STEM Education Act of 2015. That added computer science to the definition of STEM, so this ties to your previous question. We're implementing the legislation by ensuring that our STEM education programs are open to all fields of STEM, including computer science. In addition, we've included some new goals in FY 2017, including computer science for all, which partners with the Department of Education. I visited with the Secretary of Education about this last week, and the private sector, to ensure that all students in the nation have access to computer science education. So, so that is, I hope, Chairman Smith, that is a partial response to your question. On the larger question of what we're learning, NSF is always engaged in evaluation and assessment of its programs, and that applies as well to our STEM education programs. In fact, you will see a request in the FY17 budget for more money for evaluation and assessment and more money for core research in STEM learning, because we do want to learn from what we're investing in. The types of things, and a much longer response is deserved, but the types of things we're learning have to do with institutional commitment. They have to do with hands-on learning and ensuring that every student has an opportunity for that. They have to do with community participation and engaging in partnerships that go beyond the school, involving parents. They have a lot to do with teacher training. That's just absolutely essential. And having 2 teachers in my own family, 3 if I count my spouse, that I believe that continually upping the skills and teacher training, especially for a new computer age, is very, very important. So all of these, we then we take what we learned and we implement new programs that make use of that learning. So some of the questions that I know Mr. Lipinski alluded to that we'll get to later have to do with programs that perhaps we have that look on the ledger like they've gone down in funding or have stayed the same. Actually, what we've learned from that program or others have caused us to institute new programs to make use of that knowledge. And so that's how NSF is progressing in utilizing what it's learning in education.
Okay, thank you very much, and I now yield to Mr. Lipinski.